Good Warrior Shield Wednesday to everybody out there. Good morning to you, Jim. Today, folks, we have with us Ann Vandersteel. She's a fearless investigative journalist, staunch conservative, MAGA, but not afraid to also criticize some moves that are going on.
There's nothing wrong with that.
We are going to talk to her a lot about the deep state, about the judges, everything that's going on within the administration and past administration, and what it means for the future of America at this point, and how important it is for her voice and all conservative voices to be heard.
And what she thinks about future President Crockett.
Yeah, it's or Cortez, right?
Yeah.
We'll talk to her. We can't wait for her to come on. You will not want to miss this. If we got time at the end of the show, we'll do our top five female actresses who nailed their roles. Jim, that's what the top five is this time. So stay tuned for that and so much more, Jim, on another amazing episode of What?
Live from the Patriot Prayer Network studios.
You are not wrong.
Two guys, one coup.
Be right back.
Lost in the crowd, truth hides deep, burying the noise. Left hand deals lies, can't stifle the choice. Fight back rage, flames in the night. No more chains, break free from the fright. Eyes clear now, vision in the dark. We stand up, never bow to the mark. We are the storm, we are the fight. Two guys, one coup, bringing light. No more lies, no more games. Stand tall in truth, break the chains. They spit and scream, push buttons in the dark. Yet we rise, never crumble in the park. Paint our faces with colors bright. March ahead in the dead of night. Shattered dreams won't silence us now. Left and right mix poison in the foul, but we see through, we feel the beat.
Again, good morning, everybody. Let's hear from shopwithamerica.us. We'll be right back and we'll get Ann up. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Shop with America, where the emphasis is on America. Our movement is to switch away from your shopping with the big box stores and the mega corporations back to supporting family-owned, made in America. We've been giving these big box stores our money every day for years. But what's happened is they've forced many small businesses to shut down. We call this the illusion of choice. We see all these products in these stores, but in reality, it's only a few companies that control it all. There are thousands of lawsuits for health damage because they put profit over our people. But there is another choice. We found a better way. There's a family-owned American factory with product integrity and have always done things the right way for the right reasons. And this company outperforms the big box stores. That's due to their month-to-month shopping club. They make everyday consumer products that we all use and buy again and again, like toothpaste, shampoo, coffee, and organic beef. Go to shopwithamerica.us today.
Yep, shopwithamerica.us. Please go support them. American-made products sold to Americans. Do your patriotic duty and go there and purchase your products from them. Skip the Walmarts, skip the big box stores. You can get everything there at shopwithamerica.us. Let's bring Ann up. We've made her wait too long. Real quick, she's a fearless investigative journalist, host, and truth teller, known for digging deep into the stories the mainstream media will not touch. We're going to cover everything today, from the political chaos that's going on, what the left is trying to do to the Trump administration, everything that has to do with fighting for our freedoms and rights out there. And this is your first time on the show, so we welcome you. We've been waiting for this, no doubt, to speak with you. We certainly value your opinion and your insights and your thoughts and your fight. If you're not following Ann, please do on X at Ann Vandersteel. I don't know why you wouldn't follow her. Ann, welcome to the show. Thank you again.
Hey, good to be with you guys, Dale and Jim.
Thank
You guys aren't following me, just so you know. I went and looked to see if you
I
were
I am
streaming.
too.
So
We are.
Oh,
We
it's
are
two,
too.
well, we're
Hey,
under two guys, one coup. So
Yeah,
we don't have personal
at two
X
guys.
accounts,
Right.
but we do
what
under
the
two guys,
Patriot?
one coup. Oh,
Oh,
I don't know if
okay,
the
because it looks
Patriots
like
prayer is not
the
following you. Is
Patriot
that it?
Prayer Network. That's where I went. I'm sorry. That one was the one
Oh,
that I know
that's
you're streaming to.
okay.
So,
Yep. So we're
okay.
streaming there.
At
We're
two
streaming to our
guys.
X. We're
At two guys,
streaming
one coup, right?
everywhere.
That's
Yeah, we are
we follow
clearly
you.
following, no doubt.
I just
I'll,
want. I was just trying to make. I was going to go. Retweet this, and I'm like, where is it? I'm looking on your stuff, and that's where I pulled up. I was like, huh, that's weird.
ah,
So I'm wondering if these people are even the same people.
yeah, we
Sorry.
are. We are. Yeah, you're yes, we're not hiding anything. It's
We're not-
absolutely.
I'm just
We don't have to
investigating.
hide
You know, it's what I do.
Yeah.
I ask
There it
questions.
is.
And there it is. Thank you for putting that up there. X.com/Ann Vandersteel. Yes, we are following you. And this is going live on ours and on the Patriots Per Network one. So the streaming is there. And as we talked about, YouTube, Rumble, everywhere out there. So again, welcome to the show. We have certainly been waiting for this moment. I want to start real quick for those that don't know you, maybe those that aren't following you yet. Go a little bit about into your background. What kind of got you into the investigative journalism stuff? You have your own podcast. We talk about that. And then we can kind of dig deep into some of these issues.
Sure. So I grew up in a household that was very politically animated. My mom and dad
Mhm.
were active. Dad was a libertarian, supported Ron Paul, supported Reagan. Mom ran for council, first woman ever elected, first woman fire chief in the town.
Wow.
And my mom was sort of like the original James O'Keefe. She was a county clerk or the municipal clerk at one point, and she was doing the digging, the Doge, where's the money going? And was
Wow.
putting out newsletters in her name as well as newsletters under a pen name. And the ones that she did under a pen name were highly, shall we say, explosive. Got a lot of people's panties in a twist, and people didn't like being exposed. And so
Yeah.
I helped her do this stuff when I was a little girl. Whether it was we didn't have mail delivery, we had to go to a post office doing mail drops. To helping her wordsmith through things when I got older and had better command of the English language. Fast forward to going through college, I went to school for broadcast news journalism, and when I graduated in 1989. I'm 57 today. I learned at that point in time that mainstream media that's breaking on cable networks was garbage, and the three CBS, ABC, NBC was garbage. And we had relationships with people through my family at the time where I was living in New Jersey to work in Manhattan. I could have gone to work at ABC or CBS, and I chose not to because I just didn't like the vibe. And so my father was always challenging them and doing editorial replies. So it was just sort of ingrained in me. My father was very much of a constitutional conservative, and he saw the difference he saw that the uniparty existed back then. And so that's why he was a libertarian. My mother just stayed in the Republican side, but was 90% of the time in agreement with my dad. So that's how I was raised. That's the environment in which I was raised. So it's really no surprise today to see who I am. My mother's great grandfather was in the Revolutionary War, Sam Ollis. That's a direct lineage to me. So, even though I've not put my paperwork in as a DAR, I consider myself a DAR. And I think millions of people around the country are SARs and DARs because of the lineage, and we're invested through our DNA fabric. Going forward into the late mid 90s or early 90s, I worked for President Trump down in West Palm Beach, got to know him just as he came in the office weekly. And I thought, wow, this is a great leader because he listens and he takes information and he acts on it. And I remember thinking to myself, he should run for president one day. And when he did in 2015 and made the announcement, I made what I consider the almost fatal error to jump on Twitter at the time, because I thought Twitter was just for the socialite celebrity nonsense. And I didn't, read Teen Vogue and all that garbage. So, but I got on and I found a lot of other news sources that I wasn't privy to. I was reading Forbes and the Wall Street Journal at that time constantly. That's what I was raised with. And I found the Gateway Pundit, I found Breitbart, and I found a whole slew of other media sources. Drudge was really fascinating back in the day. And so I started voicing my opinion, got picked up on a Your Voice America podcast. Then I launched my own show, Steel Truth, which was very popular back in the day. It was before Bannon and everybody else came to the market, including Sobek was on Your Voice America with me, but he didn't have his own real show at that point. So I just sort of, grew in the movement that way, and was a big avid supporter of President Trump. I still am, but I still contend he's got terrible people around him that are obfuscating the truth about what's really happening. and we still haven't solved the election crisis from 2020.
Correct.
And so,
Correct.
I'm still out there swinging from the trees. I have been a useful idiot to some in the intelligence community back in the early times in 2017 and 18, because they saw me as one of the bigger voices at the time. And so they're like, well, just like they co-opted the mainstream media and MK Ultra'd all of them, they tried to co-opt me with money or fame or just their Rolodex of who they had access to. And when you got access to people like Bill Benny and Rudy Giuliani and others, Joe DeGenova, and when they were all big newsmakers, as a person trying to develop news and get the truth out, of course you were glad to be in their presence. It wasn't until I stepped back and I looked at what they were doing and how they were literally stealing money from other people that I realized this is a bad circle of people. But again, you get duped over and over by certain people because you trust the stripes on their jacket or the stars on their sleeve or whatever. And today, I really don't trust anybody. No offense. I don't trust you guys because I don't know what your motivations are. I don't know you well enough. So I'm going to have a pleasant conversation. But I'm going to today, everybody's like guilty until proven innocent because I have been used over and over to try and stream a narrative. And now I find myself in the position of trying to fix some of the stuff that I was inadvertently a part of. And today I'm like, oh, the hell with that. If Americans don't everybody take ownership of their piece of the civic duty they have to do, which I am as a staunch conservative, staunch constitutionalist, wedded to our Constitution, the first 10 amendments and everything else can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. It's all BS. On top of that, we are going to lose our country forever. And I think right now we have lost our country. And just the American people don't want to believe it yet. And we're going to have to fight like hell to get it back. And I don't know if it's a bloody revolution or if it's just the words of wars and information. I pray it's the latter. So that's where we are with me.
Yep. No, that makes perfect sense. And you had asked the question, to us even ahead of time, have we lost our country? I just don't want to believe it. But the more and more we dig into the deep state, and that's just a term that's thrown around. It's really just a garbage deep state. It's beyond. I don't know if there's a bottom to it. That's how deep it is. It does concern me that we have lost our country. I'd like to think that the people are in place now. Again, that could be short term. I mean, before you know it, 4 years is up, and who knows what happens after that, or even 2 years when you go to midterms. And are there people? Yeah, are people in that administration now? You talked about you trust nobody. Who in that administration now are really, if you can, tell us who shouldn't be trusted? Does he have most of the right people in the right place, but we still got some house cleaning to do in some key positions?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer without not being inside. But as somebody who's sitting on the outside and someone who just is using some common sense here, and President Trump talks about this is going to be the common sense administration. When you look at what happened during the Trump administration in terms of how they stole the 2020 election, and the amount of disinformation agents that were around him, that we all know who they are. Trump's called them out. We know about the 51 signers of that fraudulent Hunter Biden story, right? We know the Russia, and we know all the narratives were debunked, right? We also know that, Bill Barr is not the good guy that you wanted to believe that he was going to be. Correct. We know that the Coup PSYOP was exactly that, a CIA-run intelligence operation to get people to believe that it was all good. Is there Q clearance? Yes, there is. But that PSYOP was designed by some very sophisticated people. And listen, that spook world is highly sophisticated. And a lot of good people got caught up in it. I was never a Q person, but I got caught up in being psyoped by people using all kinds of different narratives to get you to believe that the election was stolen by this. Look at this shiny object and don't look at all the other evidence, including the statutory laws that every state has to run their own election and be guided by their own laws. And the fact they disregarded that should discount the election. But no, look at the shiny object over here, which resulted in a bunch of lawsuits to people like Mike Lindell, Clay Clark, Joe Altman, Sidney Powell, and Rudy Giuliani, President Trump. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? So the amount of distractions has been incredible. So to get to your question about, who do you not trust? Well, when I sit back and realize we have had all this information for the past 8 years, 4 during the Trump administration where we couldn't tell when was up, and 4 years post where it was really obvious what was going on. The amount of OSINT, the open source intelligence done by good people, yourselves included, I'm sure, and a lot of Anons and a lot of other people, is all the evidence we need to indict these people that are criminals. Yet today we have an attorney general who was my attorney general in Florida during the Epstein scandal.
Yep.
And I'm going to be putting a piece out here in a couple of days, which unfortunately isn't going to reflect on Pam Bondi very well, based on some other stuff that's going on in my state. You have to ask yourself, when all this noise was made, Kash Patel included, sitting on the Sean Ryan show, we're going to turn the FBI into a museum. And now you see him hiring people, and they just put Steve Jensen in there, who hates the J6ers, and on and on. When you look at this empirical data right in your face, and yet there's not one arrest, I'm thinking to myself, did they get bought? What happened? You know, I guess, and people are saying, oh, it's only 3 months. You should be generous, be generous. We had 8 years. 8 years in open source intelligence. So to your point, I don't trust any of them because I don't know why they're not acting more swiftly. They immediately started going after the J6ers in January. Immediately arresting people, FBI barnstorming grandmas and locking them up. People who were praying on the steps, Coy Griffin, who never went inside the Capitol, was praying over hundreds of people, 13 days in solitary confinement. Jake Lang, and a list goes on. Jeremy Brown, who I'm going to be interviewing tomorrow. First, you know, he's doing his first big interview. This is just insanity, and 1,500 other people. It's disgusting, you know. And why were some of us not arrested? I have no idea. You know, I jokingly say my name was V with Vandersteel. I was at the back of the bus. Who knows? But I think my hypothesis is I'm a good road cone. I'm a good magnet for, you know, I had FISAs on me because I was put on the domestic terror list. They FISA'd me because of the Quiet Skies program. Then they put me on where I had quad S's and I flew 6 times a week so they could monitor my phone. And I know they were monitoring my phone.
Like that whole program, like what happened with
I was the original OG for the Quad S. I was the first person that was Quad S. It was May 21st, 2021 when when I got the letter, but I was already Quad S because it happened to me when I was flying from Las Vegas to Tulsa. And so I was Quad S, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Why is there security around me? Why am I being escorted? Like, what did I do? You know, I mean, I'm like, this is a mistake. So, but it was the J6 stuff, and that's what we learned. So Tulsi came a couple years after me. But again, you know, I was a great road cone. They could listen to me because I have a Rolodex and I'm talking to everybody, you know, and so they're now using me to figure out how to thwart the next narrative and to pivot to another narrative and another shiny object to keep us completely off our balance. And it was very effective. But today I've made my circle much smaller, and I've had really incredible people come around and go, hey, we see this, this, and this, and this is why they're attacking you. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that. And it makes sense, you know, and it's the same people that have gone after General Flynn, because who does, you know, General Flynn has a lot of intellectual property up there that could sink a lot of battleships on this field of fight. And, you know, they can't have people like that circulating in an area where they're considered to be truth tellers, because if you do think of me as a truth teller or somebody who's genuinely interested in the truth, I'm dangerous. And, you know, that's where it settles.
Well, the one thing that we always, because we think the same thing, there's we talked to Jim Pfaff last week, and he basically said there's some low-hanging fruit that easily could have been charged, could have easily done it, had enough information. One of the things I keep thinking about, and maybe you're more involved in this than what I am, is why is Adam Schiff still allowed to be in the Senate? Because you go back to the Russia hoax, he presented it on the floor of the House as evidence.
That's low hanging fruit. That's an easy pick.
So I'm trying to figure out, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. I really do. I because I trust President Trump, but it's like, what is going on? Why are we not doing this? I don't care what I get it. Dan Bongino says, just because you're not hearing anything doesn't mean nothing's going on in the background. But this is an easy one to me.
Yeah, I mean, Adam Schiff, there's no direct evidence of collusion. Devin Nunes's memo was false. Remember that? Remember when he claimed that Devin Nunes, when he was the House Intel chair, that his memo was false about the abuse of the FISA process? Hello. Do you remember when FISA court judge Rudy Contreras recused himself after Flynn had to resign over the whole, you know, nonsense, right? And then, of course, what do I get almost the next week in my inbox on my LinkedIn account, which, by the way, got nuked in 2020 because I was providing the patents for the COVID-19 stuff. I was getting hundreds of thousands of views, but I get inboxed a piece of real estate that Rudy Contreras owned in Maricopa County that was bought and sold 3 times in one day. And every day, every transaction, the price went up through the mortgage company. What do we know about mortgage fraud now? I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So you have that, the Steele dossier not being used to spy. All the media and the amplification that Adam Schiff was able to manipulate using Jack Dorsey at X, putting out a memo saying anybody talking about COVID or whatever she needs to have their accounts taken down.
Correct.
Schiff was probably one of the most frequent flyers on the mainstream media of CNN and MSDNC. And he always was pushing the Russia collusion story. He blocked all kinds of transparency into witnesses during the House I think it was the House Intelligence hearing. So this guy is absolutely patient zero in the fallout and consequences of everything around what happened in that government. And why is he still walking around? I don't know. How much OSINT do you need before you finally indict somebody?
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's just, so you go back to Pam Bondi, who was also my attorney general too. I'm here in Florida. And, you know, at the time, you know, you didn't know she did a good job. You know, DeSantis did a fine job. Everything's good down here in Florida. And then this whole, I guess the question is, you know, we had Matt Gaetz, right? Going to be the nominee. I still want to know what the hell happened there, because I really don't know. Is it just that he wasn't going to get the votes, or does he have too much dirt, or was there dirt on Matt Gaetz? One or the other. And then Pam Bondi being your second choice, I just questioned it at the time, even like, why her? Like, what made her, you know, get that position? And then, okay, she could do it. Let's see, we've got all these people in place. Nothing's happening. Where, you know, a clear mandate was set on November 5th. They're moving at a snail's pace. The Justice Department is, while Trump is moving at breakneck speeds. This has got to collide somewhere, right? I got to believe Trump has got to be like, what the hell's going on with you people? You know, why aren't we getting this done? Do you feel that way? Or, you know, again, you're not inside that administration, and I get that, you know, the man personally though, you know, and
well, that's very loose. I mean, I know him personally, just having worked with him, but I haven't spoken to him in years. So I don't want anybody to think I'm like in there with the Don, because I'm not. I'm not in there with any of them. Eric Trump and I have a cordial relationship when we see each other, but I don't text him. I don't call him. I'm not on a first name basis with people in the Trump, you know, family that I can just pick up the phone or text them. No. I don't want any of that illusion out there, because that's not true.
All right. Okay.
All right. Just so we're clear. I mean, that goes back over 30 years. We're talking the 90s when I worked for President Trump. So we're just, we're on the same page. Let's not make this bigger than it is.
All right. Got you. Now I'm clear. So your opinion still, why? What has Pam Bondi been compromised? Is Amy Comey Barrett compromised? What is going on here?
You know, Amy Comey Barrett to me was, I think, well, wasn't she referred in by Lindsey Graham?
Mitch McConnell. Oh, I thought it was
Mitch McConnell. One of the, whatever. Is there any daylight between those two, honestly?
No, maybe a little. Maybe a little bit.
It makes total sense now.
Maybe,
you know,
maybe a little bit of daylight, but So what a disappointment, right? I mean, it's just and the fact that we didn't have a 9-0 agreement, you know, 9-0 ruling on, you know, the fact that lower court judges should not be stepping in over over a president's an executive order to, you know, we got to get rid of these people. You have criminals that came in our country. Joe Biden did not send the military to the border to support Article 4, Section 4 of gang members coming over into our country, raping and pillaging here. And President Trump is standing up for that and sending them hell out. And we're going to mince words about asylum. These people weren't here for asylum. They were here to rape and pillage. Let's be clear. And if that's asylum and they should be granted asylum, wow, do we have a problem fundamentally with where we are as people. But anyway, back to back to Pam Bondi. You know, she unfortunately, as a attorney general in this state, didn't really other than doing great media hits, and she's very pretty. So, you know, she's nice to look at. Compliments to you, Pam. You look great. But where were the high level public corruption prosecutions. She was here during
Mhm.
the whole Epstein stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
Yep.
She didn't
Yes.
investigate hospital Medicaid
Mhm.
fraud that was going on here. There was clear evidence of election integrity problems, and they're
Mhm.
still ongoing. I was just at a
Yep.
meeting this past weekend with an incredible organization, United Sovereign Americans, Unite for Freedom, number4freedom.org, unite,
Okay.
number4freedom.org. Please support these
Thank you.
people because they're
Okay.
the only organization I see that's going to actually win using civil rights litigation. They've got 9 federal lawsuits. I digress.
Good.
But there was
Wow.
all kinds of election integrity neglect. There was never any action
Mhm.
on any major human trafficking network
Not at all.
that had state ties to it. She didn't get involved in any of that.
Mhm.
She was involved in several other controversies. I think one of them was consumer protection
Mhm.
enforcement. It was kind of weak, if I recall. I don't remember the details, but there was a lot of,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah around that. And it always
Mhm.
seemed that she was prioritizing kind of her own political ambitions over the accountability piece. And,
Mhm.
she was always very good to President Trump, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
sadly, if she had been the attorney general, maybe we wouldn't, maybe the sheriff, I don't know what happened with Rick Bradshaw in Palm Beach County, but clearly,
Mhm.
he had an axe to grind because he allowed the FBI in Mar-a-Lago. And that was just a
Yeah.
complete raid.
Correct. Correct.
So,
Mhm.
I think she and Susie Wiles share some political ambitions. They were, basically two of the most powerful Republican
Mhm.
operatives here in the state, and
Yeah.
they, have a lot of GOP influence essentially.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
there's a power connection there essentially.
Okay. Makes
Okay,
sense.
so I want to we go move from Pam Bondi, and I want to ask your opinion on because the tariffs, right?
Mhm.
Senate's
Yep.
now, with the help of Rand Paul, is going after and saying, okay, President, you overstepping your bounds. We're the ones that decide taxes, because they're saying tariffs are taxes, so we are the
Mhm.
ones that decide taxes, not you. Well, my frustration with all this, what have you been doing? We are
Mhm.
we are in
Yeah.
trade deficits for so long. If
Mhm.
this was your job, like you guys, even the House, when they say their things that they say that we
Mhm.
can only do this, we can only do that, why haven't you done it? And so, is there anything that we need to know that you might know, and that is President doing this to make them do their job? I mean, is he doing it, or because look, I pray that the tariffs are right. I pray he's right about the tariffs. I truly do. Our business that we work for, it's struggling a little bit because of tariffs. But we believe in the long game. But if they, I guess my question is, if they say that this was their job, am I wrong in saying, what have you been doing for the past how many years you, Rand Paul, have been in the Senate? What have you been
Yeah.
doing?
Right. So, again, the Senate, the Congress, they've done nothing. All of these executive orders they should be scrambling to be writing laws behind this.
Mhm.
And let's
Mhm.
be clear. I think majority of these executive orders, they have been just like Joe Biden and the West exec team had time over 4 years during the Trump presidency to write all their executive orders and get ready to delete all the ones that Trump did, right? Because he didn't have a Congress to turn any of that into law. We've already seen this playbook, and we're going right into it head first again, unless we get a
Mhm.
real election in 2026. And we're going to talk about that here in a second,
Yes.
because I want to talk
Okay.
about that executive order that I think has a shot of doing it, but we still have more work to do.
Mhm.
I think what we are not seeing is any members of Congress, Senate or House, doing anything to fix the executive order and make it law stuff. However, the
Correct.
president does have the legal and lawful authority to impose tariffs, and he is given those powers by Congress, and he has the flexibility to act quickly during times of actual emergencies in terms of national security. So we know
Mhm.
we have a national security declaration on the table right now. So he has the
Yes.
lawful ability to do these tariffs. But to your
Mhm.
point, why isn't Congress acting quickly to
Yeah.
actually make this into
Correct.
law? Because when you look back in history and you look how wealthy our country was in 1870s through early 1900s, it was
Mhm.
because we were a tariffs-based country. We didn't have the
Correct.
income tax of
Correct.
1913 and the 16th
Mhm.
Amendment and the Title 26, which, by the way, was never enabled into positive law. It was never
Correct.
codified. So it's really not there's no law that says you have to donate your money. You opt into that
Yep.
system, but that's a separate
Yep.
conversation. So
Yep. It is.
again, I don't see Congress doing their job again. And so
Mhm.
this is why the election piece, this executive order that President Trump signed, forgive me, I don't recall the number, but it is
Mhm.
about machine certification and the fact that we have not had real machine certification properly in decades. And so
Mhm.
since you can't certify a machine, how do you know you're having real elections? And
Correct.
to be clear, it would take about 4 years, as I've just learned recently from the experts, to actually get all the machines certified.
Oh, it
Well, our
would.
next elections is in less than 2 years.
Yep.
So there's no way in heck
Yep.
we're going to get the machine certified. So that's why President Trump said we're going to do paper ballots if we don't have
Yep.
machine certification. And
Mhm.
so now that's great. We now know we can have real elections, but
Yeah.
we haven't solved the mail-in ballot fraud problem. We need
Correct.
another, emergency executive order to say no mail-in ballots unless you
Mm.
are completely crippled and can prove it. You're military and you're overseas, and that's it. And we will know how many
Agreed.
military we have overseas. We
Correct.
can
You
probably,
know.
thanks to Obamacare, track how many crippled people we have, unless, of course, they
That's
completely
right.
fudge that database too, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
There,
Yeah.
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 And some
this
people
is where
on
we
that
are.
I don't think are.
Yeah,
So-
me too. Yeah, me too. So that is really
You're
the mail-in
crippled and not on
ballots.
the Obamacare database?
No. I
No,
know
no,
there
no.
are some people that are on there that shouldn't be on there. is
And
what
yeah,
I'm-
Right.
is
Obama,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
just like
Yeah,
every other
yeah.
welfare
So-
program. So that mail-in ballots is really the biggest threat currently, or if in fact we can get the paper ballot and the machine certification passed, it's still the paper ballot is still the biggest threat to the or the mail-in ballot to election integrity
Right.
that you see, right?
Mail-in ballots? Oh gosh,
Yeah.
yeah. The mail-in,
still,
the
okay.
the drop box, the fact that we have these
Mhm.
Zucker boxes around and people can just,
Yep.
drop box,
Yeah.
drop off mail-in ballots or what have you. Absolutely. We can't do that anymore.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
the dirty voter rolls. Clearly what United
That's-
Sovereign Americans is working on is the dirty
Mhm.
voter rolls, which is voter disenfranchisement. It's a nonpartisan argument. And this is why
Mhm.
what the work they're doing has been so critical, because they've leveled 9 states of federal lawsuits, and they're
Mhm.
challenging the states saying, hey, you haven't cleaned your voter rolls. We can prove that we have illegals and dead people voting on
Mhm.
the voter rolls.
Yeah.
And so it's a
But-
civil rights violation. Voter disenfranchisement cancels your
Mhm.
vote when somebody that shouldn't be allowed to vote votes, and that cancels your vote. That's
Correct.
voter disenfranchisement. That's a civil rights violation. That's a Have Act violation. So that in of itself, when you have 9 different states that
Mhm.
they're in multiple federal districts, have
Yeah.
conflict, meaning some states said, oh, yep, that's a legal argument and you're right. And another state says no. Now you have
Mhm.
circuit court, federal district court conflict. That would in itself usher it to the Supreme Court for a civil rights litigation. And then
Yeah.
the Supreme Court would have the opportunity to say, okay, I hear the civil rights argument. How do we know that there were civil rights violated? Now you can sweep in all the evidence
Yes.
of election fraud.
Mhm.
This is the path to actually solving the problem, and then forcing
Yeah.
the states to clean their voter rolls and proving that their voter rolls are clean. We
Mm-hmm.
know without a shadow of a doubt, I have whistleblowers that have told me this from the IRS, that we have illegals that came in and got social security numbers, which has now been presented
Proven.
to the public,
Yeah.
but also
Yep.
ITINs, individual taxpayer identification numbers. 30 million ITINs were issued. 30 million. Think about
Wow.
that. It's a
Yeah.
miracle that Trump won.
I was going to ask you, how did it happen? We asked kind of this question all the time. We know in 2020 it was election fraud. We knew they were going to do it again in 2024. Was it just, as the phrase goes, too big to rig, honestly, at this point? Or, were
Well,
they,
I believe, yes. I
because
believe
some
it was
say,
too big
we
to
believe
rig.
Trump got 90 million votes, literally,
Right.
legally. So
Right.
is that what you feel as well? It was just too big at this point? They couldn't really
I think it was too
justify
big to rig. I've interviewed Patrick Byrne on this subject, and
Mhm.
this goes back to Smartmatic, which is it's similar to Microsoft operating system. It's the
Okay.
operating system in majority of the voting manufacturers, voting machine manufacturers. It's just the
Mhm.
base OS, right?
Yeah.
So Patrick Byrne claims, and this is a claim I'm going to let this put this at his feet, because this is what he's said on my own podcast.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
he actually was able to sequester and put up in safe houses. I think it was 14. Don't hold me to the number, but I believe it
Mhm.
was 14 programmers that worked for Smartmatic, and
Mhm.
he stashed them. And Smartmatic being a Venezuelan company, but this is now headquartered in Boca Raton, and he housed them in various safe houses from the Caribbean to Israel, and I don't know where else.
Mhm.
And they were able to prevent the quote vote flipping of the presidential election cycle, not flip votes for Trump, but just stop votes that were in the Trump column from going to
Okay.
the Kamala Harris column, essentially.
Mhm. Yeah.
If that's true or not, I don't know, but we do know that Trump won. Okay.
Yeah.
So whether it was
Yep.
an
We know
overwhelming
that.
evidence, overwhelming,
Mhm.
too big to rig, or there was some help to stop any nefarious stuff going, they didn't
Mhm.
stop. You saw states where you had down ballots go Democrat, but Trump won. Now, how in the hell does that
Correct.
happen? It never
Yep.
happens,
That's what we
right?
It
tried to
never
figure that
happens.
out,
It
right?
never does. That's the obvious one. You know.
One thing that I would like I like the executive order, and now we
Mhm.
need to get House and the idiots in the House and the Senate to get this through and get it passed. So, but what I like what he did is federal elections. For federal elections, you have to have an ID, you have to be a legal
Right.
citizen, and let's do the paper
Right.
ballots.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
here's what I'm going to ask you. We know dang well there's going to be some states out there, California, Illinois, that are going
Mhm.
to file a suit, which lawyers are the only ones getting rich right now, right?
Mhm.
So
Yep.
they're going to file a suit against the federal government, and they're going to find their judge. How long is this going to take? And is it reasonably? Can we be confident that this will happen in 2026, or is it more a 2028 thing?
Mhm.
Well, if we don't win in 2026, I don't see how any laws are going to get codified, how any executive orders
Correct.
will
They
get
won't.
codified to law. I mean, we're just looking at a
So we need
repeat.
to get it by 2026.
Mhm.
We need to. And this is one of the reasons why, our foundation, American Made Foundation, which is an educational arm, and American
Mhm.
Made Action, which is our action arm, is gearing up for this fight for these lawsuits. Right now, we're focused in on two things: family law courts, because it's low hanging fruit where you literally do not have representation. Your constitutional rights are completely violated in family law court, in addition to the
Mhm.
fact it's destroying the family. And that's what they've
Yep.
been after for decades, right? They've been trying to
Correct.
destroy the family forever.
Mhm.
And they've
Yep.
done a really, really good job of it. I mean, look,
They're very
today's,
they've been
Generation X is,
successful.
Mhm.
yeah,
They've been
yeah.
successful.
So we are going after the administrative law courts, the family law courts, and we're also going after CPS. But I think
Mhm.
there's room in there in the administrative law courts where a lot of this election adjudication happens to expose these judges that are derelict and are not following their own election laws. I mean, let's look at
Mhm.
what happened in Arizona. The argument
Oh
of
my
Carrie
God.
Lake's legal team,
Yeah.
and I know some of the attorneys, and I really like them, but it was the wrong argument, in my opinion. When I look
Mhm.
at this holistically, if you
Mhm.
are making a cake, let's make this really simple. If you're baking a cake and there's 6
Mhm.
ingredients in that cake and you only put 3 in there,
Mhm.
did you really bake the cake you set out to
Nope.
bake?
Nope.
If
Mhm.
you have elections and there's 6 statutory laws that need to be followed and you only follow 3, did you
Mhm.
have an election?
Correct.
That's what
Yep.
happened in Arizona. That's what happened in
Mm.
other states. Statutory laws were completely ignored. And some of the most egregious ones, like chain of custody. Who the hell
Mhm.
knows where these votes
Oh,
were from point
yeah.
A to
Correct.
point B and what got injected in the middle? So, I
Mhm.
mean, chain of custody, reconciliation, how many people walked into the precinct to vote and how many ballots were
Mhm.
actually cast. There was none
Yep.
of that. Zero. In fact, there was
How?
adjudication problems. And if you listen to a space that Jovan was on a couple of days ago,
Mhm.
I retweeted it. He makes it so clear what happened. It's just blatantly clear. Um,
Mhm.
and
How do
we just
attorneys
aren't
leave that
following
out
the
of there?
laws.
Yeah.
Pardon?
How do they leave them out? How did they leave that out of there? Are they, is it ignorance?
They're corrupt.
Was it by design on
No,
purpose?
Mm.
Okay.
it's by design. These judges are all corrupt. They're all bought and paid for. And I don't know if the
Mhm.
attorneys are too, but let's face it, they're all part of the bar card mafia. And when you have that
Yeah, they
little
are.
bar card, that is your covet to charge zillions of dollars for the price for the work that you do. And it's funny, the only people that they challenge their bar card with are people like Sidney Powell, who challenged
Mhm.
the elections. And she's now won
Yeah.
her case, I think, twice in Texas where they've tried to take her bar card. And it's
Yeah.
because they challenged, they were challenging
Mhm.
the elections. And that's, I know attorneys who've lost their bar because they challenged the system and the system
Mhm.
said, you're out.
Yep.
So, and
Wow.
the problem is it's a licensing of a club. It's not something that you and I are a part of, or, you know what I mean? It's not something
Mhm.
that's part of our constitutional government, yet we pay homage to it like they're the be all say all, because you know why? We
Correct.
don't know what the hell they're saying with that legal fiction. And that again is by
Yep.
design to confuse us instead of just speaking in plain English, like this
Yeah.
document right here, the
Mhm.
Constitution. It should say for the United States of America, but whatever. Like
Mhm.
our original constitutions in plain English, when we're not speaking plain English, who the hell knows what anybody's saying? That's why when a judge
Yes.
asks you, do you understand? Say no, because
Say
he's
no,
telling you
because
you stand underneath him. And I
yeah.
would just respond, No, Your Honor, I don't understand. I stand under God, not you.
Mm,
And
yeah.
you work for me, Your Honor. So let's get
Mhm.
let's just get the chain of
Yeah. Yep.
command here correct.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
We got to take a real quick break. You got time still to stay with us because we got a lot more
Oh,
questions.
sure.
If you do.
Let's see what time is my next. I've got an interview here. Let me just double check it. I'm good. I don't have an interview for another half hour or so.
Okay, sounds good. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
The Warrior Shield Foundation is here to unite, honor, and provide support for veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members. The foundation will enable them to find the help they need through direct assistance or connecting them by our shared vision network. Using data-driven models, we provide solutions that make a long-lasting difference. We, along with our partners, are dedicated to bringing together like-minded groups and individuals who have committed to making a difference in the lives of our hard-working, everyday heroes. We bridge the gap by connecting warriors or their families with the assistance they deserve and require, such as service dogs, wheelchairs, counseling, scholarships, and team-building retreats, to name a few. You can help right now to make a difference for those who have helped and protected us all. Warrior Shield Foundation. Selflessly doing for those who need it most.
Better dig deep, put 'em in the ground.
Folks, warriorshield.org. Please go there, donate, help them out. Great Americans doing great work for other nonprofits, and it all goes to absolutely amazing causes. This year is the
Thank you,
Shadow
Buckeye,
Foundation for PTSD.
Thank you, C. Freeman 21.
Yep.
Thank you for posting that. Appreciate it.
And thank you again for sitting through that. Warriorshield.org. If you don't know them, look them up yourself if you can. We'd appreciate it. They're amazing, amazing patriots doing great work. Let's get back into this again. I kind of going down the judge path again. Boasberg, we know what happened there. This is not the end of it. There's going to be another judge, another activist judge. They're all going to try to stop it. Right now, there's a judge that says, hey, put the AP back in the White House. So, okay, who cares? Put him in the back. Don't ask him a question. Whatever. To me, who cares about that one? But there's going to be something else and something else and something else and something else. Trump has every right to ignore these judges, right? As he has been. Is that not the power of the president to make these decisions? And again, at some point, that's going to reverse, right? At some point, there's going to be a Democrat, and God, I hope not. But Trump's not going to be on the ballot. There's going to be somebody else in there, and who knows what's going to happen at that point.
Right?
Are we okay with the same thing? Ignore the judges. I want to make sure we're fair on this. Go ahead.
Right. No, I 100% agree. Trump needs to ignore them because they're acting completely, they're legislating from the bench. These judges need to be removed. They need to be impeached and removed. In fact, I was just looking at his Truth account while we were on the break. And, he, of course, is in the last hour, he's tweeted out, it's a great time to buy, be cool. Everything's going to work out well. The USA will be bigger and better. Fixing trade and tariffs is a good thing. And this is even coming from, Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, blah, blah, blah. And he's saying it's imperative that Republicans in the House pass the tax cut bill now. He's staying extremely, extremely positive. But one of the things I think that the president needs to be well aware of is when it comes to these judges, we need to abolish the bar. The bar was created in 1871, the same year that they incorporated Washington, D.C., 3 years after they rammed the 14th Amendment down the throats of every American. And that was under military martial law with the Union troops in the South at gunpoint telling the South state legislatures, you will do this or else. And so, this is how we ended the Civil War at gunpoint, saying you're going to be part of this, big blob, as opposed to being an individual nation state as a union for and financing our common defense. Today we have a big blob. I think Mike Benz always calls it the blob. We've now just got a big blob of a federal government. So the Bar Association coming in after we corporatize the United States, which by definition is only Washington, D.C., and it is a federal corporation. You can look them up under UCC code 8 and 28 USC 3215A. Those two codes right there will show you what DC really is all about. That blob has taken over, and the judiciary is protecting that blob. You know, they're protecting those corporate interests that own that blob. And so the bar is a mafia, and they look out for each other. They don't want to throw each other under the bus because they're going to get kicked out, and then you won't be able to make the $500 an hour or the $750 or whatever they charge, $1,500. You know what I mean? And you look at all the attorneys now, the big firms, right, that have now had their security clearances stripped.
Yes.
Because of of what they were doing with the Russia hoax, right? The Perkins Coys of the world and the Covington Burlings of the world. They really need to look at Kirkland and Ellis, because that's the people that helped Staple Street Capital buy Dominion voting systems. And they're protecting people that are not good. So
Wow.
Yeah. We have okay, we're throwing a lot at you. So sorry. So hopefully you're answering them great. No, I love it. Because it helps, you know, because like I said, you're more in the know. We're getting there. And it helps to
thanks to people
like you. So you look at the left, right? We always talk about how they're messed up, right? They're you know, you've got AOC, the squad over here with Crockett now opening her mouth every 5 seconds. But yet they still vote together, right? They still, because it's against Trump. That's what it ends up being, inevitably that way. But we need to do something, and what that is, I don't know. But when Jasmine Crockett goes out there and she talks about bringing Trump or bringing Musk down, getting, you know, all this stuff. At some point in time, in all honesty, I get it. You can yell the fire in a crowded theater, but what happens after you yell it? You can be punished for that, right? When it gets you can get in trouble. Is anything ever going to happen to these leftist wackos that when they say these things, when they don't tell their people to stop? Okay.
Well, they're inciting violence, treason, violence. There's all sorts of,
yeah. Can we do anything to them? Is there? I know we legally can, but is it going to be done?
I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. You know, if you and I go to a theater, right, and there's 1,000 people, 500 people in the theater, and we're eating popcorn, having a good time, and somebody just yells fire. And there isn't a fire, but it creates pandemonium, and a little baby gets trampled, and grandma has a broken hip, and whatever, right? Or they just it caused me to spend $20 for the ticket, and I missed the movie. That person goes to jail. There's no like, oh, whatever. You're arrested. If they catch them, you're arrested. There's no, you know, and you've got to deal with the consequence of your actions. Right. Jasmine Crockett's, you know, violent rhetoric towards Elon Musk, for which Pam Bondi has, I don't know how many times gone on Fox News and talked about this, and she's put out
4 million videos instead of doing something.
Right. She has, you know, gone and done a lot of this and talked real tough, right? But again, just set an example. They made an example of the J6ers within 3 weeks of their election, of their installment into the White House. They made an example, and they terrorized the country. My husband and I was at the Capitol. We lived in fear, not in fear, but we lived smartly by divesting ourselves of everything and putting all of our important things somewhere else, so that when they flashbanged my home and came in here to arrest me, that I wasn't going to have them take whatever I had, because I was hearing those stories too. Okay. They're thieves and thugs. And the fact that Kash Patel is hiring people right now is just, and it annoys the hell out of me, to be honest. So I hope Kash is listening to this, because we're all disappointed. We're super disappointed that you didn't just shut it down.
That latest hiring was scary.
So that leads to who the hell can we trust? Take Trump, you know, obviously, who beyond that in his leadership role, who can you trust out there in his administration at this point?
We the people, well, in the administration, listen.
Yeah, in the administration
DC
first.
What goes on in DC should have no bearing in what goes on in your bedroom, first of all.
I agree.
So it comes back to, who do we trust? We the people. It is really clear when you read the Constitution, the very first 3 words are "we the people." And in our Declaration of Independence, it's also really clear that, when we are in a position where we're not getting what we need from our government, it's our responsibility to alter or abolish. It's our civic duty. And so we, the people, have got to become heads up and engage at the very local level, down to the dog catcher, down to your school board meetings. As I tell people all the time, if you've never been to a school board meeting, even if you don't have kids, take a friend, go have a glass of wine so you're relaxed, walk in there, sit back in the back of the room and fold your arms and just look menacingly at those people to let them know you are watching them and you're listening. And when you get the courage, maybe ask a question about what they're teaching in sex education. Show us the textbooks.
Yeah.
Just do that. Show some sort of, hey, I'm watching what you're doing. As soon as these people feel like someone's watching, they shrivel away. They shrivel away. There's been many times when mama bears have gone and school boards have just gotten up and walked out of the room, which means they vacated the chair and new elections were held, snap, right there, and they filled those chairs and they've taken over school boards for the betterment of the community.
Sure.
It's that simple. And I can tell you from personal experience, having testified and presented evidence in counties like Collier County, which is where Naples, Florida is. Scott and Jill Kiley, incredible patriots. I'll see them this weekend at a Lincoln dinner. General Flynn will be there. Doug McGregor will be there. Colonel McGregor and others. I can tell you they led a crusade of people in their county and they stopped the mandates during COVID. They stopped the masks and the jabs and they made their county a Bill of Rights sanctuary county, meaning the Bill of Rights stood in the way of the federal government and telling the county what it had to do for COVID mandates. And they stood up and they gave the people that protection saying, look, this is your armor of God that's been codified into the Bill of Rights right here. You can see it. And we're presenting it. And we're just going to remind everybody that you have these. And, they didn't have to do it, but they had to do it to remind people what's really on their side to protect them. This is this is how we represent.
Would that work in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania or somewhere? Is it state
everywhere
dependent as well? Okay.
No.
So,
these are our rights, inalienable rights given to us by God, and they were marked down in the Constitution. Every single American has the right to assemble and to bring people together and to go to their county government and say, we are no longer listening to the federal government for this. We're not. They've overstepped their bounds. What they were edicted to do, the 18 essential services, they have grown an agency government which has zero representation by you and me because none of those agency heads were ever elected by you or me. And so this is the problem. Fauci's walking around out there. And all these people that were agency heads, they're all still walking around with impunity. That's just insanity to me. We have got to start arresting these people.
New York's about ready to elect a mayor that killed a bunch of people during COVID when he put all the sick people in the elderly homes and stuff like that, in nursing homes. And there's certain parts of this country that's a mess, and we hope we can help clean them up. But if they're going to vote for that, I don't know what to tell them.
Well,
I really don't.
And that concerns me too, because you take a look from here. I'm looking at the Jasmine Crockett's and the AOCs and the Maxine Waters, and I'm looking at Chuck Schumer. The list goes on and on. Lindsey Graham. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't matter what side of it is on.
McConnell,
if they aren't part of the MAGA movement, the Trump agenda, you got to get them out of there. My problem is, when you say the country's lost, to me, that's why, because they just won't get them out of there. I think personally, term limits have to be established. I can't understand. I got 2 points of thought, and we were discussing this with a guest we had on Monday, but there's 2 points of thought for me: term limits and maybe extended term time in the House. So you're not getting in there, hey, I'm a House representative, and now I have to start running for my reelection again immediately because it's such short term. But limit it to 4 years, 6 years, doesn't matter. You think term limits will ever be a thing? Because I really think it also stops there as well.
Yeah, it did not. The original Constitution did not include term limits. But it also didn't include lobbyists. It didn't include,
correct.
The ability for people to be bought. It was supposed to include, one member of Congress for every 30,000 people, which would have put us in total representation of over 6,600 members of Congress. And you would have had your congressman sitting at home, zooming in And at the time, it was easy to come together and meet in DC because we weren't a big population. Today we are, and we have technology that facilitates meeting and voting. We don't need to actually be present in the swamp, with a bunch of, pedophiles enticing members of Congress to do things and then, corrupt them. It's easy to buy off 535 members of the Congress and Senate. It's easy to buy them off. But if you have over 6,000 members of Congress and 100 U.S. senators, not so easy. It's going to cost a lot more to buy off those people. And today I was listening, again, I credit Jovan for this stat because I wasn't aware of the numbers. I've always assumed we have about $200 trillion worth of assets in the ground and in our country. He equated it to 400 trillion. And with about the 7,000 members of government from state and local, right, and federal, we have right now, it's about $50 billion to buy people off if everybody gets paid, a hefty sum. It's not a lot of money to control $400 trillion of United States assets.
Correct.
So if we had if we double that by having true representation and you repeal the 1929 Apportionment Act, which is what limited the number of members of Congress. And that's why we have flyover country because they're underrepresented.
Yes.
If you did that, then we might actually have a government that actually gave a crap about its people because those people would be sitting in their hometowns, accessible to the people around them to say, hey, Joe, or hey, Sue, I got this problem. Can you hear me out? And these people are living in the community. They understand the heartbeat of the community. They understand the pain points of the community. They know where the community is really strong and they can share those good practices with other people. But we don't have that. We have them all sitting in DC, avoiding with each other and going to Ruth Chris Steakhouse and the Capitol Grill.
Correct.
And then God knows what goes on in the dark of night. It's just none of it's good. It's ripe. It's just ripe with corruption. So it's just not fair. And so that's why, they didn't see that aspect of it. They didn't foretell someone doing the Apportionment Act, which if we didn't have that, I don't think we would have to worry so much about term limits because you didn't used to get paid a lot of money either. It was a hardship to leave the farm, to leave your blacksmith operation and go to DC and represent. You only wanted to do it for a term and then come back and then somebody else had to sling the hash and go out there and deal with the stuff. It's not exactly, it wasn't supposed to be a glamorous job. Today, it's like you're a celebrity.
Yeah,
you're a celebrity and you're a multi-millionaire. At least.
It was created for you to go show up, vote, and then go back to work. Go back to your hometown and go back to work and do what you have to do. You know what? The phrase that I'm really tired of, and I am literally about ready to blow a gasket if I hear it one more time, but you're going to hear it. We have to help the American people. How many times do you see Schumer up there? How many times Schumer standing up there saying we have to help the American people? You didn't help us 4 years ago. You didn't help us 8 years ago. You didn't help us 12 years ago. Now all of a sudden you want to help the American people? The whole thing is frustrating to me. And you mentioned, you got me thinking when you told us about, do you feel we lost the country? I'm a little different from Dale. I do feel we lost it. And I feel we lost it because what's going on right now. We have a perfect situation where we have Republicans in the House. We control the House. I know not by a lot, but we have Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate. These executive orders should be bang, 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 right? I mean, just right down the road. They let them try and stop it all they can. They can't. Just push it through. But this is why I feel we're lost, because Luna's upset because she can't vote
proxy
from home if she has a baby. And it's like, are you kidding me? You postponed the SAVE Act for that. I'm done. I've had it. And I hope it can change. But what I liked about watching what you do and on your X and watching you with JJ, I saw you the other day, and now on the show.
Did I have a meltdown that day? I think I was a little bit, I think I came a little unhinged because I was just so over it.
JJ has that way that he can just, he doesn't have to get loud. He can just stare at you and just, it's just the way he is.
And he knows how to push my buttons too.
Yeah.
And
he's a solid dude.
But it made me think, and I don't like to think, it hurts, but it's like, where are we? What are we doing right now? Because right now, Republicans are messing up. We have a chance to stay in power, MAGA, stay in power for not just the next 4 years. He's setting it up for either JD or, Byron Donald or whoever's next. He's setting it up that there is no reason they can't be in control for the next 16 plus years.
Correct.
But we keep screwing it up.
Yeah. And it's coming from within. It's
Yep.
not the Dems.
Well, that's it.
It's our own Republicans. They're not even they're sheeps in wolf clothing,
Mhm.
or wolves in sheep clothing, excuse me. It's the
Yeah.
Republicans. It's the Republicans. It's the Republicans. It's
Yep.
not even the Dems.
Always.
The Dems, we know who they are. They don't hide.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't hide it. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, we know
Nope.
that. We know the devil they are. We
Mhm.
it's always the Republicans. This always seems
Yeah.
to happen when this takes place. And here we are. When we're 3 days into the work week, have we voted on anything? Is there anything? Has anything happened, or are we just talking about what we're gonna vote on?
Too busy yelling at each other.
No.
I'm just shocked as hell that they're working 3 days this week. That's my issue with it. Is that they just
Yeah.
nothing gets
And they
done.
tried to impress us the other day when the Senate worked until 2:00 in the morning to
Thank
put
you.
okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
But total, then you only work 12 hours the week. So you worked over. It's like,
Yeah.
okay.
What in the next 6 to 12 months, in your opinion, honestly, what should Americans, what should we be watching out for, positively or negatively?
Well,
And
I think every
what will
American
the
should be
signs
going to. All right. Well, look, the economy went through a little bit. It's going through a little bit of a hiccup right now, and it's a
Good.
design hiccup.
Yeah.
Okay. President Trump is trying to shift us out of an income tax to as he called external revenue service, from internal to external, and tariffs are lawful and constitutional.
Mhm.
Income tax is neither. So he's trying to do that shift. Think of the control mechanism, right? You've got the World
Mhm.
Economic Forum and countries like Israel that have been controlling us for quite a long time. Not the people.
Yep.
I'm talking about the governments here.
Correct.
It's not an anti-Semitic statement. It's not anti-Jew.
Yes, I know.
Okay? This is
Oh,
about
boy, it
countries.
sure is. If you mention anything, yeah, but you're right, 100% right about Israel
Right.
on that.
Okay,
Go
so
ahead.
you've got countries like that. You've got, the City of London, the banking cabal. They're at the top of this, what pile. Okay,
Mhm.
but think of it like Jenga. What Trump is doing is he's down here and he's pulling out blocks. Okay,
Mhm.
and he's pulling out very strategic blocks that are going to have a negative impact on their ability to stay up here and empower. Eventually, this thing is going to collapse. And by shifting from internal to external revenue, it's a big block, right? It's money
Mhm.
coming directly to us, and it's not going through the Federal Reserve. It's going directly into
Yeah.
our treasury.
Mhm.
So that's a big deal. All right. That
Mhm.
takes us out of, having to, next the other block we've got to talk about, which is what he's been talking about, of course, is the crypto world. And it's the
Mhm.
golden age. The golden
Yes.
age. I'm like, hello, he's telling you to buy gold. I don't know how,
Yep,
and countries
correct.
around the world are stockpiling it right now. They are stockpiling gold. And has anybody checked the price of gold lately? I mean,
$3,000 an ounce. What is it up to? Yes. Yeah.
it's doubled since
Mm.
since 2020, I guess it has, right?
Yeah,
It's almost double. Yeah, it's doubled. So again, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon.
Nope.
So there's some key pieces here that we need to look at now while we're going through this economic shift. One of the things Trump has said very clearly is, we're looking at doing digital transactions, but it's not CBDC. We do not want to be a part of enslaving you any more than you've already been enslaved. We're trying to liberate you. That's why he called April 2nd Liberation Day. The executive order. I still think President Trump needs to be advised about cleaning up and tightening up that executive order when it comes to mail-in ballots and all that. That's a
Yes.
big loophole
Agreed.
that hasn't been closed yet. He needs to deal with that. Stop talking about the machines. We already got that handled. Your executive order was brilliant. Now let's fix the mail-in ballot problem, because that's truly where the problem lies. And then people, in order to make this happen, have got to be engaged at the county level. They have got to go. Like I don't live in Palm Beach County. I live in the neighboring county, but I go to the Palm Beach County Commission meetings sometimes because it is spicy. And the people that run those meetings are tyrants. And they're constantly throwing people out when you challenge them on the most fundamental of questions. They don't want those questions answered. And so I show up with my camera, go live to expose this stuff, because people need to get pissed and go, I didn't vote for that. I didn't vote for those people to treat me like gum under their shoe. They're gum under my shoe. I pay their salaries. People have got to get that mindset. They work for me. And if they're not doing what I ask, I shouldn't kowtow. Oh, I'm sorry, Senator or state rep or commissioner. They shouldn't kowtow to these people. They should be like, no, F you. You're not doing what I'm asking. And people have got to get like that. And this is why Trump is using executive orders. And he's telling Congress, we've got to pass the Tax Reform Act. You got to do it. And he's telling people, and the American people are asking me to tell you, because you're not listening to them. So now I'm telling you to listen to the American people. They want their taxes reduced.
Correct.
So it's as simple as showing up to a meeting, whether it's school board, whether it's county commission, or whether you want to go to some other higher meetings. I don't care, but you can't just sit back and keyboard warrior and throw barbs at people on social media and out and out lie about stuff and make shit up. Excuse me, but that's what they're doing.
That's what they do. They make shit up all the time, and they get away with it.
They don't have to be called. Yeah,
they don't have to be called on social media. It's mainstream media. They're so complicit in all 100%. Of this that it's like, how do you get past that? Stop watching that. You literally are being brainwashed. It's propaganda. They're telling you what you want to hear, and I'm telling you, I don't know how to get through to a liberal. To be honest with you, I honestly don't know how to.
Send
get through
them to the Darien
but,
Gap like I did. Go to the Darien Gap on your own time and dime and spend money down there and live and get chiggers and fleas and all kinds of, critters crawling all over you and be amongst a bunch of terrorists, thousands of them that are coming across the border that are from Afghanistan and Iran and China and Venezuela and Colombia and on and on.
That's what they claim. It's just fake news. It's crazy.
Yeah, don't take my word for it. Go do it. Go to the border. Look at Catholic Charities working with Customs and Border Protection, smuggling people across the border. Go see it. Don't listen to me. I could
Jewish Family Services.
I'm not good at doctoring videos, but hell.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely unbelievable. And we're gonna give you the last word. Honestly, thank you so much for this. This could go on hours and hours and hours with you because I learn so much every time I do, and that's why I follow you and we follow you on X is because of what you do. What's next? You got something kind of a scoop, something big you want to tell us that you might be working on?
I've got a story. I'm breaking a story here in Florida about a sheriff, and unfortunately, the corruption ties into people like Bondi and others. And so it's just, I think President Trump needs to reconsider Pam Bondi because again, Cash and I will give Cash and Bongino grace as much as they talked a big game about Epstein release, JFK release, and all this stuff and turning an FBI into a museum. That's sort of been set aside, and people are kind of going, "What in the heck has happened over there?" Yes. But the buck stops with her on that stuff, and so I believe that we need to. Put everything out there. So I've got this scoop coming here. I'm going to be working on it later on this afternoon. I hope to have it out tomorrow. I wanted to get it today, but I'm just too many interviews are stacked up today. I won't have time to finish it. But I'll probably get it out tomorrow. And it's going to be a barn burner because it's this is going to shake some trees, and it needs to. It needs to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to make sure President Trump has got a good circle of people of trust around him that aren't there for the title, but they're there to do the job. And the other thing I really want is I'd like for President Trump to have a kitchen cabinet of people that nobody knows who they are, but these are trusted people that he can rely upon to bring the receipts, show him the evidence. They're not getting paid. There's no way that anything that he does would have any impact in their world other than we have a safe country. Right. Yeah, and if those people were advisors to him that he could lean on and then take that information and deploy it to his public facing cabinet members, that works for me. I just don't believe that he has people that he can truly trust around him.
Yeah.
It's sad. That's where I'm at.
And that's the concerning part too, because that's where, if that's the case, then that's where I lean more towards, we have lost our country. I'm praying and hoping.
I need to be proven the other way.
We needed to swing the other way.
Right.
And when's your podcast on? Where are you going to be at next? Follow you on X, obviously.
So I'm not actually doing a daily show anymore. I'm just putting pieces out as I see of interest because I think there's a lot of great podcasters that are doing dailies, and I don't need to be another voice in that. And it's frankly, it's a ton of work.
It is.
And I'd rather travel and go get stories and bring them back. That's awesome. More what I'm enjoying to do now. But and I'm also very involved in the foundation, an American Made Foundation and American Made Action. Both are .orgs. Go check out our website. Look at what we're doing. We are going to be we've already got a federal lawsuit right now in New Hampshire against Sununu and what he did to the people who said amen in a meeting.
Yeah,
I know. That's our lawsuit. We've got more coming. We've got more.
That was on my question list.
We have a lot of we didn't get to a lot of the questions because you help us lead into other questions.
And you answer a lot before we even ask them. So we appreciate that too. So
I enjoyed having you on, and I hope that at some point in time we can have you back on.
Yeah, we do.
Maybe we'll talk about some positive things,
hopefully.
But we have some listeners that want to thank you for being on today. Aiken thanked you, and then Buckeye, very informative. Please come back. And then Tarna, Yes, sorry I was late. Should we watch the episode? But please come back. We enjoyed it
There's
a
a
lot.
1,000 on
Yeah.
here. I can't even get to them. So, but you're very popular, Ann. I don't know. That's, even with some of the negative ones that we didn't even talk about, which is just absolutely laughable, but we'll get into that next time.
Why do you get those? Only when you're over the target, only when you tell the truth.
You nailed it. Yep, you hit the bullseye.
Our BS meter has gotten a lot better. So we knew there was now something's not correlating.
When we heard this,
hearing, so it's like
that's
not even. So we're not. We don't buy any of it. So there we go. And we're one of those that also we don't hear something from somebody, and then that's what we believe. We do a little bit of
do a little research. That's all it takes.
That's
all it takes.
That's the best advice you can give anybody, myself included.
Just do your research. Just do your research. And thank you so much again. Man. We hope you had fun. We certainly did. We learned a lot as always. We hope you will come back. Be safe out there. It's a crazy ass world.
Thanks, guys.
Be very safe out there. Okay.
Dale and Jim, you stand up. A good referral from JJ.
Hey, thank you.
Good.
I appreciate that.
Tell JJ we said hi.
Yeah, please do, man. He's a great guy. Great guy. We'll talk soon, Ann. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Oh my gosh. How long could you? Oops, sorry, Jim. How long can you talk there?
2-hour show.
3. How long? That's an hour and 10 into it. We'll take away 4 minutes.
The inside.
Am I freezing up again, Jim?
Yeah, you just froze up there, but I can hear. There you go.
I am again. I froze up that whole interview.
There's nothing we could bring up to her that she didn't know, right? There's something that she knows about. And that's the investigative journalist in her. And I love it. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great interview, very insightful, and hopefully we showed her that we're one of them. And stuff. And listeners out there, great questions.
I'm so sorry we
weren't able to we weren't able to put it out there. C Freeman 21, Kevin Simpson of China, people of China, while having a disdain for the CP are not the same. Having the ability to criticize systems is imperative. Truthful Troll, I don't know, but I'm not. That's a personal question that you can ask her on if you want to send her a personal thing.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Oh no, this was Crystal Loves David. Thank you for joining, by the way.
Yeah.
We have some Republicans and rhinos. That
we
is
do.
Exactly what we have.
We do. Tarna.
We need to save our dirty money flow. Buckeye, as always, was created to represent we the people, not themselves. I mean, think about this for a minute, folks. When they created, you all know this, but when they created Congress, it wasn't a full-time job.
No, it was not.
Truly wasn't. And today, in today's day and age, you don't have to be. So they pay for an office. We pay for an office in their home district. And then if they're living, we pay for living expenses, I believe.
I think so.
In DC. Well, why? When you have your home, come back to your constituents. Stop staying in DC. That's how you get bought. That's how you get paid for. Of course, you can do that back home too. But Dale, you were right. The only way to fix this, I shouldn't say fix it, to make it a little bit better, term limits. Because then people like Chuck Schumer, who are bought and paid for 20 times
Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, you name it,
they are done. Right. And just get them out. But again, New York, you deserve everything you get.
Yeah.
You deserve everything you get. So
yeah, absolutely you do. Listen, you want to get to our top 5? I mean, we got 15 minutes. We can get to our top 5, right?
I think we can get it pretty quick.
I think we can too, but I do honestly think we need to hear from Grick, Aaron, Lock and Load real quick, and then we owe it to them. Even though I didn't see Rich on there today, so he might be working. Guy might be busy. Hopefully, you're giving him a business.
Yeah,
hopefully that's what's happening. So let's hear from Grick, Aaron, Lock and Load. We'll do our top 5, and I'll tell you why. Because I don't think we'll have time Monday.
Yeah,
because who's coming on Monday.
Right. It's gonna be fun.
Boy, are we, man, I'm telling you, guys, you're listening to the best podcast on the planet Earth.
By far and away.
By far. Hold on. We will be right back. Here's Grick, Aaron, Lock and Load.
Grit is defined as firmness of character, unyielding courage in the face of hardship or danger. At Grit Gear Apparel, we honor all military, police, fire, public service, and patriotic Americans, both men and women regardless of color, creed, or religion. Our brand represents the love and freedom for our country, the heroism of all our men and women, and the principles of what this wonderful country was built on. Our goal is to regenerate the sense of patriotism and to spark the American pride within us, to stand together in the toughest times and become victorious, to preserve all our freedoms, to honor our flag, and to respect the men and women who have fought and died for us to have these freedoms. Wear our brand with pride, with a sense of patriotism, and as a statement for the love of our country. Whether you're military, public official, or civilian, our brand is for you. Together we stand as Americans.
Who stand as America's. Thank you. Americans. Thank you, Buckeye, at gritgearapparel.com and at lockandloadcoffee.com. Please go support them. Use coupon code, you guys. Will you remember? Because Jim and I don't.
Yeah,
And,
please do that, because
please use coupon code,
made a
you guys. You get
couple
10% off your entire order. Please do. That way they know you heard it here.
Yeah,
and it's
one
helping
that
them.
helps. Yeah,
They're
it also
amazing
helps
people.
that we're sending people to them. That's
Correct,
always nice
correct.
for them to
You
see
know,
that.
yeah.
Buckeye,
Well said.
excellent point.
Mhm.
Jim Jordan, I'm glad to hear it.
Me too.
My representative is, maybe here sometimes.
Who is it?
know,
Who's your House representative?
Stutzman. Yeah. the
Oh,
Stutzman.
he is. Okay. He's not. Yeah.
No, we have one good
Mhm.
senator, and we have one that we better primary him out.
Mhm.
He's just a.
So, I mean, honest to God, Matt Gaetz was mine, and he was here quite often. He really was.
Yeah, and some of them
hoping
are.
Jimmy
I mean, I'm
Petronis
not
would be that way.
Yeah, some of them are.
Yeah.
It seems like Jasmine Crockett goes home and she goes to her church and
Mhm.
tells everybody that we're not picking cotton anymore.
Yep. That we're all
First
racist.
of all, you don't
and,
pick cotton anymore.
No, you don't.
You have
you don't
machines
pick
now.
that anymore. I mean, if you are, good luck. I don't think you're making a lot of money at it.
But did you notice, guys?
I want to put this. Yeah, go ahead, Jim. You want
Go
me to
ahead,
take
read
that
it.
down before you finish? Oh, it says so from Crystal. We the people want Congress part-time and only paid when there.
Yep.
Congress and Senate staff is ridiculous. Most are libs. Why do they need 20 of them each? Lobbyists are mostly wives, kids, and girlfriends or buddies, that are getting paid and taking part of the dole there.
A lot of the squad.
You're absolutely right.
A lot of the squad members got in trouble because they were paying their husbands for security, but they weren't.
No argument from me. Crystal loves David 17, says Tarna. You got that right. It's exactly right. Term limits. They are not. This was not designed for them to be multimillionaires, for them to get stock tips, for them to. This was designed to represent the people, and
because they lose sight. Does anybody out there think that? Let's do a low number. Does anybody out there think 30% of Congress and the Senate give a damn about us?
No.
I mean, honestly, I don't.
No.
It's about themselves. Jasmine Crockett going out and speak whenever she doesn't give a shit. She wants to
None of them
turn
do.
people against us. She wants to.
Why
turn
do I say
people
none of them
against
though? I truly believe somebody like a Tim Burchett
right
cares about his
and by the way, folks, not everybody is going to there's going to be nobody's going to agree 100% on things. Nobody is gonna. Okay.
Yeah.
So when somebody does something that's out of the ordinary, we don't want to attack them. We don't.
Correct.
That's you don't, because they're getting attacked from the left. They don't need assistance from us.
Yes.
Now, those that do deserve it, yes, the Lindsey Graham, the Mitch McConnells, they deserve it. Okay. Was I disappointed that President Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham to run again? Yeah. So
I'm back. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm not seeing any drop in signal on my Wi-Fi to be on this whole episode. There's nothing that's telling me I'm dropping. So I don't know if I'm being shadow banned or if I'm being.
Well,
we just had Ann on. Did you mention that what Crystal said?
Right here.
Or,
yes. Why do presidents get term? We've been asking that for
forever.
A long time. Expand Congress to 4 years.
House.
Okay.
The House to 4.
The House for 4 years, or maybe even the Senate. Why should they serve longer than the president? Is what I don't understand. Why does the senator get 6 years? Because the gentleman, we had Al on last week, and he said it best when he said that they come in, they learn the job. The new congressman, they learn the job, and then by the way, in another 3 or 4 months after they come in, they have to start campaigning again. So how much work are they really doing? Which makes a lot of sense now. What's going on with the house?
Yeah.
But
Aiken says
it's
this. I would
terrible.
say less than 5% care about. I know he was very, very liberal when he gave him that 30% phrase, but yeah, I agree. It's probably less than 5%.
I
know.
said I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
but none of this makes sense to me, and
None of it
I'm
does.
tired of it. But I am not kidding when I tell you
Mhm.
I am getting tired of hearing them say we have to do this for the American people. The American people are suffering. American people suffered 4 years ago, Chuck.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Big time.
And you
Chuck
didn't give a
and
crap then.
Hakeem Jeffries and Cory
That's
Booker. The American people were suffering 4 years ago. You didn't
Mhm.
seem to care then.
Did it?
And oh, by
any
the
of
way,
that
go out and look
conversation-
at that. Go out and look at that map or that thing of remember 2001 to 2003 stock market was down here.
Yeah.
2004 it was up here. So
Yep.
2005 it went down just a little bit.
Yeah.
Why are we worried about it here? Anyway.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. I want to get into a lot about Ann too, but we know we're dragging on here. Let's get to the top 5 since we've been postponing this one for a while because of rightfully so, we should have been, but we'll get it in today because I am afraid we won't get it in Monday, and you'll know why.
Yeah,
So
we'll tell you in a minute.
let's do top 5 bitches who nailed their role.
I can't believe you just said that, but that's okay. That's all right.
I mean, it's Hollywood.
Buckeye, I like your list.
Okay. Well, wait.
Yeah.
No, I'm Wednesday. I'm first.
I know, and I'm a little upset that I didn't think about the third one on her list, but we'll get to that because I'm kicking myself right now. So anyway,
well, to me, there was a lot of good ones. Here we go.
Yeah.
Top 5 female actresses who nailed. Did you notice there is spelled role right this time?
Yeah.
I had it IE for the males.
Care. That's fine.
Yeah, I had someone point that out to me. So, at any rate, top 5 female actresses who nailed their roles. My number 5, we'll get right to it. Glenn Close as Alec Forrest in Fatal Attraction. I'm not a big Glenn Close fan, trust me.
Yeah,
But
again,
I
these
could
are
not-
things that I forgot about. Yeah, this
Yep,
is good.
I could
I don't like my
picture-
list after seeing the rest of yours.
She nailed her
Yeah.
role to me.
Yes.
It was absolutely spot on.
She made cheating think a little more closely.
Yeah, exactly. You know, she did make I mean, I'm yep, that's it. I'm now forever
Yep.
never gonna do that. I don't want no rabbits in my pots boiling. And she did a great job as a psycho.
Yes.
Maybe because she is in life. I don't know, but I'm just saying it might have been just her normal role. Number 4, I have Laura Linney as Wendy Bird in Ozark. I understand this might be a little different and it might not be, but I cannot picture somebody else playing Wendy Bird at all.
See, I'm mad at
besides
my
her.
list now. I am completely mad at my list.
Well, you know
yeah,
why, Jim? Because I'll tell the listeners. Jim's always like this. Oh, I got my next 3 lists done. Well, you need to put some thought into it, bro. That's why I don't have my next list.
Shit.
So Laura Linney is Wendy Bird. Perfect, spot on. This is an obvious one to me and could have been higher, but because I think it's obvious. Is Jodie Foster as Clarice Starling in Silence of the Lambs.
Good one.
Again, could not picture anybody. The matter of fact, they tried to have Julia, what's her name? Who played in the follow-up, the Hannibal and all that. They put somebody else in that role didn't work. Sorry, just did not work.
Right.
So Jodie Foster. My number 2, Lena Headey, Cersei
Absolutely.
Lannister. I literally the look,
Absolutely.
the stoic look, the bitch face, resting bitch face she just normally has to me is just perfect casting for that. And my number 1 is Jessica Chastain as Maya in Zero Dark 30.
Good one.
Absolutely spot on performance.
I
Could somebody else have done it? I don't know, honestly.
Kept writing on the glass doors.
I know.
21.
Yep.
That
I
was
know.
good.
She was spectacular. And personally,
good.
I love her as an actress.
Good list.
Honestly.
Oh yeah, I do too.
No,
Red hair.
There
Look.
is my top 5. Let's get to the listeners' top 5, Jim.
Okay,
What do we got here?
Buckeyes. Julie Garland, Dorothy Gale.
Yep.
Vivian Lee, Scarlett Hill. Wow, you're doing some.
Yeah, those are
classics.
good.
Here's the one. Katie Seagal, Gemma Teller. Sons of Anarchy was one of my favorite shows ever. Kate Beckinsale, Celine, and Michelle. Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
True, she couldn't. She did nail that role. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
That was very good.
It's a good list.
Buckeye.
It's a great list.
I'm trying to. Hopefully, I'm not missing.
Arna's got one. Oh, does Aiken have one? I don't think so.
Aiken has a.
Okay, Aiken has one up there. Go ahead.
Does he? He has just like a name. You find it?
Buckeye. I had one for today, and okay, got it. He goes, I had one for today and forgot it at work. So play that. What did you just play? I didn't see it. So wait, never mind. I just remembered Kate Blanchett as Katharine Hepburn in the Aviary. She did great. She almost made the list. That was a perfect role for her. Bruce Jenner is a man in the movie called Reality. You really nailed that role too well.
Sarna, Ellen Mirren, the Queen, Meryl Streep, The Devil Wears Prada, Glenn Close, Dangerous
Liaisons. I didn't finish my homework.
That's all right.
Listen, it's all right. It's absolutely fine. We get
Lenny was Abigail Adams.
She was absolutely.
I
didn't. Who played John Adams? Wasn't that
I don't like him.
The guy in Billions. Who played the
Giamatti?
Yeah. Yep.
No,
you don't like him. Why?
What his dad did.
Oh, okay, but I mean, him as a.
I don't care.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Pete Rose is not in the Hall
Joe
of Fame.
Montana's children.
Commissioner.
Joe Montana's children could play, grandchildren, whatever, could play for the Bengals, and I would hate them.
You would hate them. You would hate them. Oh my God,
that's who I am.
Yeah, I know. That's why you don't like Giamatti. I get it. I get it. Okay, your list, Jim. Let's get to it.
Yes. Okay, so some of them were okay. Some of them are going to get arguments, but I'll explain.
Okay, again, guys, you are hearing Jim already explaining his list before we go. So
number 5, Amy Poehler, Leslie Knope, and Parks and Rec.
She did nail it.
Guys, if you didn't, I mean, I hated her political views, but
of course.
I mean, it's funny. She was awesome. But she definitely had it. Try and put anybody else in there. Try.
Yeah,
you just couldn't.
I agree. All
right, number 4.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody watched the movie Monster with Charlize Theron as Eileen Wuornos, to take a beautiful woman, and
that was good makeup.
She nailed.
She did a
the
great
part,
job,
folks. Now I'm a reader, okay, and if you when you see who Eileen Wuornos was, she nailed the role. Absolutely nailed it.
Okay,
so
good.
Yep, so that
good. I'll trust you on that.
Lena Headey, I think we had the same weight.
Yeah, we did. I think the same
Lannister
spot
from Game of Thrones. Yep.
Yeah.
Guys, you would love to hate her. I mean, when I didn't like the way
anybody
she
else
died.
playing her.
Yeah, I wanted her to die in a different way, not the way they did. But there was
don't
a lot
spoil
of
it for those.
Yeah. So anyway, but that's number 3. Now number 2. I'm gonna explain this, so calm down.
Holy shit!
All right.
Oh,
when you read, listen to me. When you read the books, she nailed the part of Hermione. Absolutely nailed it. So get mad at me all you want to, say whatever, do whatever. She nailed it because you got to read.
Nailed his role too. I'm just
you got to read the books. Anyway,
okay.
But I'm a Harry Potter.
That little alien popping out nailed the role.
Now, guys, I can't believe I haven't seen her name pop up. But Melissa McCarthy in Bridesmaids, or any character she plays.
Or any character she plays.
I mean, if you didn't see Bridesmaids.
Who didn't see see Bridesmaids? Here we go.
I know.
Jim, banned from lists from now on. I told you guys, you're going to be absolutely, you get the inner works of Jim and who he is by his list. I love it. I love it.
You read the books, and that shows how they did it. Anyway.
Well, were we still back to your number 2? We're not on.
Yeah. Well, that's I'm assuming she's giving me the hard time about, because you agreed with 3 of them.
I did agree with 3 of them. I Melissa McCarthy and Bridesmaids was.
But if you go watch it, if you haven't watched it, oh my God, it's absolutely just great.
It is. Now you have to admit, Jim. You can take your list away now. You have to admit that most of our lists were far better. I mean, we actually put a little bit more. I mean, you have to admit that.
Okay.
Probably
okay. So I have one you disagreed with.
What? Oh, I agree. You're right. I just knew a Harry Potter thing was going to come up in yours.
My list.
Gollum, he nailed his role. coming.
Thank you, Tarna. Thank you. I have somebody.
Tarna, do not feel sorry for Jim. This is the learning lesson. This is what's called tough love. Some people see it as criticism. We see it as helping. I thought they called Jim Hugwarts because of an undisclosed STD. I don't know about this guy. Truthful, I love you. I do. I mean, you just, it is what it is. Poor Jim.
CF Tick 21.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey,
welcome.
Hello. How are you? And thank you for
no,
joining.
Not Dora the Explorer. I did not like that. But you did nail the role, though.
What's this say here? That means you only put in 80% effort. Yep.
Okay, come on. There's got to be.
Yeah, you're right, Buck.
There has to be some Harry Potter fans out there. There has
You
to
only
be.
put in 80% effort. Guys, listen.
By the way, 80% is passing.
Yeah. See, that's what reading gets you, guys. In case anybody wants to know, you read the books and then you watch a movie or a show, and that person doesn't exactly, but they still nail the role, but it didn't go how the book went. So Jim's like, I can't count that person. That's
absolutely.
Tell me I'm wrong.
If I like the book,
right? There's like 3 books in my life I like. At any rate, folks, Monday, stay with us. So this what is today? Wednesday. Monday we had Al right on from X and his experience. So we were supposed to be joined by Texas Patriot and Encrypted Lens. Encrypted Lens is joining us. If you don't follow him on X, please do. I just wrote his name. Where is it? I just wrote his X name. How did I miss that? Well, anyways, Encrypted Lens, look him up. But I meant to write that down. Go follow him. What?
That guy's really mean.
What is she saying? Put him up there. What is she saying? I want to hear it. This is
reading
is good.
Kind of hurtful.
It's not hurtful. It's true. Reading is good.
Kind of painful.
I love it. Oh, I love it, Buckeye. Anyways, he will be here to join us Monday. What you don't know is that he is one of very few what are called white hat hackers. He'll get into what details he can about it, but his story and what he knows about what's going on in the deep state, honestly, you need to join in on Monday. You're not going to want to miss that one. Again, if we have time for a top 5 Monday, we are going to do top 5 Game of Thrones characters, which might limit some of the audience. Some of them may not be Game of Thrones fans.
Right.
You're psychotic if you're not. You should be out there watching that if you didn't. But top 5 Game of Thrones characters.
You know, one of them that's going to be on our list, right? Because
like I said, you've seen Jim's list. You've seen Jim's list. So I believe Ed Sheeran is going to be his number 1 character for the one episode he was on.
No, Lannister Army Man number 3.
Yeah, it's the 3rd dragon that died. The first one that died, right? So you're top. Did I get screwed up when the dragon died? At any rate, Game of Thrones. Please do it. That's what we're gonna do on. I'm trying to play this here and I can't. I watched Game of Thrones we all did. I mean, it's amazing. All of the shit I post, surprised I haven't. Yeah, I know. Buckeye, thank you again, everybody, for joining us. I want to thank again Ann Vandersteel for coming on. The conversation.
There's some things we heard. And some, you got to be careful when you hear things about people. Investigate, look it up, because it's not fair to judge. We don't want to be judged because of one thing we said or did or what somebody said about us, right?
Yep,
so
correct. Do your investigation.
We put a lot of looking in. We don't see it. We don't see it. So
Ann is solid. She's very, very solid. So if anybody out there thinks otherwise, you're being fed a lie. 100% factual. We now know that. Thank you, Ann, again, for coming on. We can't wait till you come back. We hope that you do. Follow her on X at Ann Vandersteel. Folks, thank you again for your support, your contributions, your comments. Please hit the like button on Rumble. It's very important to hit that like button on Rumble. Please follow, like, and share, and then follow our X page. at Two Guys One Coup. For some crazy reason, we're getting followers and then they drop. Then we're getting followers and they drop. I don't know what's going on with X. I don't know if they're purging, but it's crazy out there.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go. Thank you. And thank you for joining all those that knew. We hope you come back. Please follow us and like us. We really, really need the support and we appreciate it. So
thank you, Crystal, for joining. Thank you, Aiken.
Thank you again.
Thanks for everybody.
Yep, exactly. Thank you. Thank you, even Truthful. Appreciate you.
Good luck tomorrow, Aiken.
Move
up the ladder at work. Good luck to you. Hope it
really. Thanks for a great show, guys. I'll keep you interviewing tomorrow for Move. Oh yeah, congratulations, man. You got this nailed, brother.
Yeah,
you got this nailed. Yeah, you got this. There's no doubt about it. Yep, Buckeye. See you guys on Monday. Everybody, thank you again for joining. Jim, thank you for your support. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned for breaking news the minute we go off air. As always. So hopefully Congress gets off their ass and does something. That's what it's going to take.
Maybe there'll be a bunch of open seats in the House because people are in jail.
Yeah, maybe. Let's hope. Folks, we'll talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. God bless you. God bless America.
Bye.
Thank you again. And we'll see you Monday. Bye, Jimmy.
Bye.